You're thinking about getting your first car and you're finally saved enough for that down payment. You've also looked at the price of the car, inquired about what financing options are available, and you've worked out your monthly installment amount. But don't go thinking that that's all you're gonna have to put aside to own that car. So there are, of course, other costs on top of the sticker price that you'll need to budget for, and we're here to let you know what to expect. First off, you'll need car insurance. Why? Because one, it's required by law, but two, it also lessens the financial headaches after an incident or potential mishap happens, say during a trip to Malaysia. So how much will insurance set you back? Assuming you're a 30-year-old male that wants to insure a typical brand new car like say a Toyota Corolla Altis, you need to budget close to $2,200 a year for a comprehensive insurance policy. Of course, there are also less expensive third-party only policies available, which you need to set aside perhaps around $1,300 yearly for. And if you're looking to purchase a used car, you can probably expect to pay a little bit less in terms of insurance. Then there's road tax. So typically road tax payable in Singapore is dependent on the engine capacity of your car. It's also worth pointing out that now for EVs, road tax is actually calculated based on power output. So expect to pay close to $740 of road tax annually for a typical brand new 1.6 litre car. For comparison, a 2 litre car will incur close to $1,200 of road tax a year. So if you are looking to keep costs down, avoid vehicles that come with large engines. So another thing you want to note is that there is a surcharge for vehicles that are more than 10 years old, so it's something to think about if you've been eyeing that dream car from your childhood. The additional tax gets very steep very quickly the older the car. Let's not forget about parking. So you obviously need somewhere to put your car, right? So unless you live in a private property, be prepared to set aside some money to pay for parking. So season parking at HDB multi-storey car parks is typically $110 a month, which works out to a total of $1,320 a year. And also if you drive to work, that's another set of monthly parking you need to pay for. So prices of course vary, but expect prices between $150 to $250 and definitely more if you work in the CBD. You'll also be visiting shopping centers, running errands, visiting relatives and so on and so forth. Of course, you'll need to pay extra for parking as well. So you do have to set aside some money for those cash card top-ups. So if you're not sure how much it will cost to park at a certain location, you can always use Sgcarmart's car park and parking rates guide. Again, link is in the description box below. Now, you also need to budget for fuel, right? Because the car needs to move, and obviously the cost will depend on how much you drive, how you drive, what kind of car you're driving. But just to give you a clue as to how much you need to pay, let's say you drive a typical car and average a fuel economy of 12 km per litre. So if you're paying $2.80 per litre and covering close to 15,000 km a year, you need to set aside a total of $3,500 a year for petrol. And of course, you can adjust this value according to how much more or less you drive, how much more or less petrol your car consumes. Another cost that will rise the more you drive is ERP. So obviously this is dependent on where you're driving to. So One Motoring has a page that will allow you to check how much it will cost to drive under the various ERP gantries scattered across our island and what timings these gantries are active. Then there's the servicing costs to consider. So here, a visit back to an authorized dealer to change your typical fluids and filters will cost you somewhere in the region of $300, and you typically need to do this once every 6 months. You can of course send your car to a third-party workshop, which would usually cost you a little bit less. Finally, there's also a few miscellaneous costs that you want to think about. So you of course need to wash your car occasionally at the very least, and if you're going to be doing that yourself, you need to set aside money for things like car shampoo, a good washcloth, stuff like that. And of course, there's also the wear items and also things like your tires, your batteries, these are things that will need replacing from time to time. So after all of that, just how much should you be setting aside? Well, considering everything we have listed down thus far, we think the average driver here in Singapore will need to set aside around $12,700 a year to meet all these costs, and this is on top of your monthly loan installment. So if you're still shopping for a car, be sure to consider these additional costs, and you should be in good stead for a painless ownership experience with your first car. Now, let us know down in the comment section below about your own experience as a car owner, and if there are things that we missed out. And don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't, and you can also follow us on TikTok for the latest updates. So that's all from us. Don't starve yourself driving the new car out of the showroom. See you soon. Bye. Okay, 3, 2, 1. Which you need to start. Sorry, I don't know why I cannot. $12,700 a year. You're thinking about getting. Don't lean so must see that. If there were things that we missed out. Okay. But again, a 2 litre car will include.